2 Sundays ago, as we celebrated the third Sunday of Easter, you might remember that we reflected on that passage in when Jesus is walking with St. Peter by the Sea of Galilee. Our Lord asks him 3 times, "Peter, do you love me?" And the 3 times Peter says, "Yes, Lord, I love you. You know that I love you." But the word for love that Jesus uses is different than the one that Peter uses. Christ uses the word agape, which means a self-given, self-sacrificial, outstanding love for another. While Peter uses the word for love, philia in Greek, which stands for the love of a brother, the love of a family member. It will take all the way for Peter to go to Rome and to be leaving Rome out of that persecution that had broken off on his way out from the city on the Via Appia when he met Jesus. Jesus revealed himself to him, and Peter asked the Lord, "Lord, where are you going? Domine, quo vadis?" And Jesus answered him, "I am going to die again for you." And so Peter got it and said, "No, Lord, I'm going back." And Peter was crucified, giving his whole life and blood for Jesus. He gave it all, as Jesus had given his life for him and for all of us. And today, our Lord in the gospel tells us and commands us, "Love one another as I have loved you." And he once again uses the word for love, agape, which is a total self-giving, self-sacrificial love, a heroic love. And that's the kind of love I want to speak to you today. The love that the Focus missionaries have for so many students on college campuses. That way of heroic love that is lived every day. The love that you have, for instance, for your children. The love of a mother who wakes up in the middle of the night to care for that child who's not feeling well, who's in need of accompaniment. The love of a father, a husband who wakes up early in the morning to go to work. Isn't that heroic? Day after day. A total self-giving, self-sacrificial love. As I mentioned, my name is Father Martin, and I'm one of the national chaplains for Focus, the Fellowship of Catholic University Students. And I'd like to ask a little bit, maybe a question and a show of hands. How many of you know of maybe a son, a daughter, a niece, a nephew, a grandchild who was raised in a Catholic family, faith-filled family, that went to college and unfortunately he or she left the faith? Any of you who knows someone, maybe a friend? I do as well. Well, the fact is that 80%, 4 out of 5 college students who are raised in a good, faithful family leave their faith by the last year of college. 80%. But as I mentioned, I'm coming to bring to you a message of love and a message of hope as well. I'd like to share with you a story. The story of Sam. Sam was a student in high school who, again, was raised in a good Catholic family, great grades in high school. She earned a scholarship to go and play soccer in college. Everything was going great, playing with her team, but she got injured. And what followed next is something that some described as a dark period of her life. She felt depressed. She turned into the party scene, drinking, leaving Christ aside. But thank God, there was a Focus missionary on her campus whose name was Angel. Angel invited Sam to go for lunch, go for coffee, to her Bible study, and little by little, Sam once again reconsidered the opportunity to regain her friendship with Christ. Angel invited Sam to go to a Focus conference, one of those conferences that happen every year at some point in the country. And there is where Sam met Jesus once again in the sacrament of the Eucharist, at adoration, and in the sacrament of confession. And then Sam went back to school renewed, and when she was healed, she joined again the team, and now she herself was leading her own Bible study. At the end of her college education, Sam was offered an opportunity to play soccer professionally in Europe, but she turned it down because she wanted to apply to become a Focus missionary, to do exactly what Angel had done for her. And she did so for a number of years, helping other college students grow in their faith and in their friendship with Christ. And then she went on to start her own college ministry for athletes. And that's why I'm trying to tell you that this is a message of hope. This is happening in many college campuses. And I'm a witness of what Focus has been doing for 20 years, which is the time I met Focus back in 2001. Focus was founded in 1998 at one college campus in Atchison, Kansas, Benedictine College, with two missionaries. And now Focus is present in about 200 campuses across the US, Europe, and South America. More than 1,000 young men and women have considered their vocation to enter the religious life or the priesthood because of their involvement with Focus. And I know, as a matter of fact, that 25% of seminarians entering seminary right now in the US have had some involvement with Focus. There's 30,000 alumni from Focus among missionaries and students. And the way Focus works is very simple. It is about what Jesus did with the apostles. What did Jesus do? He invited them to grow in friendship with him. He went, quote unquote, camping for about 3 years and taught them the way to the Father, which he himself was. Friendship with him, and he unfolded the fullness of revelation. That's what these missionaries try to do. They're not trying to make something new. They're trying to do what Jesus started 2,000 years ago. And their desire is not only to reach every college campus across the US and the world, but to reach the entire world, because that is what Jesus told the apostles. Go into the whole world. I had the blessing of meeting one of the missionaries back when I was a theology student at Sacred Heart Seminary in Detroit. I was born and raised in Buenos Aires, Argentina. I moved to the US about 21 years ago, and I was going through my theology studies, and I met a missionary, and we went to play racquetball. Again, they want to grow in friendship with you. At that time, I was young, so I was able to beat him, and it's hard to beat the Focus missionaries because they're pretty good at all what they do. But the point is that I was impressed with this organization. At that time, it was very, very small. And I joined the team of Focus National Chaplains about 6 years ago because I wanted to be a part of this apostolate and serve the missionaries who, again, give 2, 3, 4, 10 years of their lives to support other college students on their campuses. I live in San Diego, California, and go up and down the coast supporting these missionaries with spiritual direction and faith formation and retreats. I come even here to Arizona. I visit our missionaries up at NAU and Father Matt as well. They do a phenomenal work, and that's why I want to give to you a message of love and a message of great hope. And I'd like to ask you that you pray for these missionaries, because as you know, prayer is kind of the engine for everything else. Christ says, without me, you can do nothing. He doesn't say, without me, you can do a little bit. He just says, nothing, right? So we want to start with prayer, asking for these missionaries to continue to do their work and to multiply their work, that many young men and women may answer the call to go on mission with Focus or somewhere else, but to be on mission. We are all called to be on mission with our families, in our parish, and the world. So first of all, that you pray for these missionaries. But also, I'd like to invite you to consider sending to these missionaries your prayer intentions. Because maybe you know of someone who is in college who is struggling with his or her faith. Maybe you know of some family member or a friend who is in need of prayers because of his poor health, or someone who is in need of growth in his friendship with Christ. And for that reason, we have placed a few envelopes, a few brochures here on your pews, and there you have a place to write your prayer intentions. And yes, I will ask you if you if you can, that you please support these focused missionaries. You have also a section there to play your information for any donation that you'd like to make for these missionaries. It's very simple. It's a little brochure, and you can even just share it, and then I will be, after Mass, available outside of the church collecting these envelopes. Again, we are witnessing something that I have not seen before in the church. And this is not happening in any other continent. It's happening right here in the U.S., and from here it's spreading across the world. And we are being witnesses right now of a silent growth on campuses of this great apostolate called Focus, that is not intended to just remain within Focus, but it's intended to grow throughout the church. Because again, this is about the method modeled by the Master of winning souls for Christ, building them in their friendship with Christ and the faith, and sending them across the world. It's very simple. It's not complicated. It's about carrying out an interior life, a life of union with Christ in prayer, in a growth in virtue, a life of friendship with others, and a life of discipleship. And Christ taught us that method way back 2,000 years ago. He could have appeared to the whole world, but he grew in friendships with Peter, James, and John. 3 men who answered to the call of Jesus to be his friends. And the math is simple. If one, Jesus Christ, reaches out to 3, those 3 can reach out to other 3 each. And then you have 9 more disciples, and then 27, and then 81, and then you can reach the whole world, and in 20 years, you can reach the entire world. You can reach more than 8 billion people. And everyone is cared for, and everyone receives care. We are cared for, and we care for others. So this is the message of hope that I want to share with you. The little way of evangelization that Focus wants to renew in the church. So I'd like to give you a little bit of time, just maybe a couple minutes, for you to look into those brochures, to consider if you'd like to send some prayer intentions, maybe a donation, a one-time or a monthly donation that you'd like to help these missionaries with, and be a part on this mission. We may not be able to be along them on campus, but we can help them on mission with our prayers and with our support. So I'd like to give you a couple minutes for you to consider that. So I want to thank you again for your kindness in welcoming me to Our Lady of Mount Carmel. Please pray for these missionaries, for their courage, for their perseverance. Pray for souls to be saved. And know of my prayers for you and your families. God bless you and keep you today and always.